Okay, here we're just going to be looking at two knives, the Spyderco Cat and the Spyderco Chicago. The Chicago's the little one. The blade on the Chicago is just under 2 inches, probably keeping in mind some over-enthusiastic laws out there about knives and blade lengths. I don't know why that would be a problem. They're both fully manual knives, but this one's a little bit over 2 inches. You can see the blades when you line up the holes there. They're just slightly different. On the Cat, I keep thinking the Cat's the smaller one, but it's the Chicago. Both of them have, let's see if I can get that right, CPM S30V steel. I like the finish on there. I'm not a big fan of the high polish finish, but I like the brushed finish on them, or stone wash is nice. But these are really done well, I thought, the finish on them. Considering they're made in Taiwan, both of them, obviously. They both have these really big spidey hole. I think they're the 1/2 inches at 14 millimeter, I believe. 13 or 14 millimeter on them. Both have the carbon fiber scales. You can see the thickness there. Now, I believe it's the Sage. I don't have a Sage. It has carbon fiber, but it's the real grippy. This you can kind of, if you can hear it when I rub, it's just extremely smooth. I guess some people will like that, some people won't. It would be nice to have a little bit more grip, but for, you know, these very small pocket knives, not a big issue to me. I'm not going to be building the house with these or anything, so. They're both held together with Torx screws. You can see the pivot screws also Torx. Pillar construction. Both got the wire clip, which I'm really starting to like, actually. In fact, I'm starting to think maybe I like the wire clip better than any other, and at first I didn't think I'd like it at all. It carries real deep. It holds in my pocket well. It doesn't slip out. They're lightweight. As far as getting a grip on the knife, it kind of gives you something to get a grip on. I always feel like I can't get a good grip because I have really small hands. And those wire clips really help with that, in my opinion. Okay, so basically overall I give them fairly high marks. Problems? First thing off the bat, on this one, the Cat, the tip, I could catch it right there. I mean, you could, it was about like, well, that's an exaggeration up there, but about like that. So it was just barely in. Now, I didn't send it back. I should send it back. I didn't. I just tend to like to fix the problems myself. If you look at the spine here, you might be able to tell what I did there. I did take this down a little bit on a grinder, took my time on it. I've done that before on a couple Bokers I had. Those I didn't worry about so much, they were just inexpensive Bokers, like $15, $20 or something. This one I really took my time, kept the blade real cool because I didn't want to burn the steel. And then I did a nice polish on it, kept taking the grit down. And I changed the shape just slightly. Probably can't tell by looking at it, but it's just a hair narrower than it was before. But I tried to keep that nice and even. Now it doesn't catch, it's down in there. Blade centering on these is fairly good. You got your liner locks, so that's always going to be a slight issue with them. But when I open them, I tend to push there, so as long as they're not scraping, I'm okay with it. Okay, second thing with them, both the knives, my wife and my daughter enjoy knives too, and so I try to not all my knives. There's some that are just kind of for me, and I don't care if they like them or not. But most of them I try to keep them so that they can use them. And both of these, my wife could just barely, I mean, it was almost impossible for her to push over those liner locks. I mean, they were, I wouldn't even guess at the poundage on those. It was crazy though. I mean, I had to really reef on them. I don't know about anyone else's, but again, you know, send them back, tell them the problem, they'll fix it, they'll make it better. Me, I just like to do it myself. Probably can't tell, but you can just barely see that hole in there. But I took the knife apart and opened up the relief hole a little bit there. Maybe, I wouldn't say I doubled it, but I almost doubled the size of it. And on the little one, I did the same thing, and then I relieved a little bit here. So they still lock up just fine, just as much as they did. I tried putting quite a lot of pressure on them, way more than you'd be putting on a small blade like this, in my opinion. No problem. They're much easier to work. Easily can do it with one hand now, where it was difficult for me before. Easily can open them. I mean, both of them, my camera angle here isn't very good, but I can easily one-handed open them both without any problem at all, where it was difficult before. Again, with these smaller knives, they tend to be more rollers for me. I just like to roll them out like that. That's kind of the purpose of having a small EDC, so you're not scaring people, but it's kind of fun to be able to flick them open. So, steel liners, somewhat skeletonized. Both fairly lightweight. I mean, the weight, whatever. I didn't even look it up, but they're both, you know, they're such small knives, and they're pillar construction. They're light, they're thin, they're not real heavy, but they're Spyderco's little big knives. They're little, but they've got quite a blade on there, nice and thick. You can do a lot with that. Good slicer though, where it's the flat ground. They're just good knives. I just had to iron out a few things, but considering I only paid for around 40 bucks for each of them, can't remember the exact amounts, but you know, compared to the Sage or something, I mean, that's pretty good. I felt like I got, you know, I was fairly happy with them.